Hi everybody and welcome back to Miss Angler's biology class. I am Miss Angler. In today's video, we're going to do a past paper question on a human reproduction section. This one I've labeled as medium, although some of you might find this a very easy question. There is one specific question here that can catch out a lot of matrics really easily. And I think it's sometimes what frustrates the 60 and 70% pupils, and you don't get the mark you'd hope for. So I'm going to point that one out to you shortly. But some of you might just find this as an easier level, and that's also okay. You can use this as a prep to get your mind in the right space as you go into the harder questions. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed with your notifications turned on, because I post regularly for you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And of course, if you're looking for a little extra help going into your exams and you want to make studying super easy and also make studying shorter, because there's so much content, right, to learn in bio, then you should get your hands on my cheat sheet study guide. I take what would normally be 300 to 350 worth of textbook pages, and we've summarized it all the way down to like 120 pages, which I think is really, really good, considering that's all you actually need to know to do very well in your exams and get a distinction. Now, it's at this point in the video that if you'd like to attempt the question, then pause now, attempt the question, write your answers down, and then we'll go through it together. I'm going to show you how to unpack this question and how to answer each question for full marks. So let's dive into the question, and we're going to start reading. The diagram below represents a human embryonic development. So we now know it's definitely a human and that we are past or showing fertilization and then past fertilization. And then we're going to do what I always encourage every single matric to do, whether you are a 30%er or an 80%er. This next step is the difference between you doing all right and well maybe, and then doing exemplary work and knowing exactly what to look out. And that is, you need to work on the diagram before you actually look at the questions, because it's the questions that often throw you off your game. So let's look at some of the things that don't have any labels and identify what's going on. So we'll look at structure A. Structure A is definitely going to be an ovum, and obviously the clue to knowing that is we have a sperm cell sitting just above. And then we have structure B. Now, structure B shows that we've taken the sperm cell and the egg cell and we've fused them together. So knowing that now, we know that that is a zygote. It then goes on, looks like it goes on through some more cellular division and becomes structure C. Now, I already know that structure C is a blastocyst. But how did I know that, for some of us who are a little bit uncertain? Well, it's because it has this empty space over here. That's how I know it's a blastocyst, whereas this structure here is a solid ball of cells, which would be the morula. And I'm just going to write it so that we don't confuse the two with each other. Now, something that's also not on this diagram is the processes, right? Like fertilization, mitosis, but you would need to know where those things occur. So if we were talking about fertilization, I would put fertilization over here. And when we talk about mitosis, we would start mitosis over here, because that's how we go from one cell to a ball and collection of cells. Now that we've broken everything down, let's dive into the questions. And these make the questions go a lot faster since we've done prep on the question and the diagram. Number 1 says we need to identify cell B, which we have already done. We know that now to be the zygote, so there'll be no mistakes or errors. And then the next question says to identify structure C, which again we've already done, is the blastocyst. And remember, the clue was it is a hollow ball of cells. A lot of matrics might have accidentally identified it as the morula if they weren't paying attention. Now we move on to question 2.2, and this is actually the question that I think a lot of top pupils would make a mistake in, or they wouldn't know how to get the third mark. And you'll see now why I say what I say. It says explain the difference between cell A and cell B. Now remember, explain often requires a statement and it requires a reason. Now this is interesting because it's out of 3. you now need to provide more reasons. You probably need to provide a third reason. So let's make some statements and some reasons. And this is where it doesn't follow the classic statement and reason description. And you'll see now what I expect of you to give and why often you won't get the third mark. So let's do the obvious. What is the difference between cell A and cell B? So cell A is an ovum. What is an ovum? Well, an ovum is haploid, right? Whereas B is a zygote, and that is diploid. Now, saying that it's haploid or diploid would get you 2 marks. You could, of course, give the chromosome numbers as well if you wanted to, but that only gets you 2 out of the 3. What do you have to say to get the third mark? And that is where a lot of pupils will go wrong. And that is because they ignore what's happening here with the sperm cell. They ignore this part over here. They don't realize that they need to actually mention it. And that is where the reasoning comes in. It's slightly different to how we would normally do a explain. We've actually made 2 statements and we need only 1 reason of why they are different. And they are also different because fertilization has happened and it now includes the father's DNA, or you could say it's now genetically different, right? And a lot of matrics will not get that third mark. And that's something that I think only comes with experience, meaning you would only know what to do in this question if you've seen it before or if you've practiced similar questions to it. And so that's why I labeled this a medium question, because it comes down to experience and knowing what to give. Moving on to the next question, it's a very straightforward one. It says, name the fluid surrounding the embryo, which we should all know the fluid surrounding the embryo should be the amniotic fluid. And this is another tricky one because if you misidentify the amniotic fluid, you might not be able to do the next question, which is state 3 functions of the fluid named in the previous question. Again, these are things that you should just be calling off. You shouldn't think for too long. And so some of the functions of the amniotic fluid is that it is for protection. But now you can't just write the word protection, right? We need to give a bit more. So protection against temperature fluctuations. You could also give that when it comes to protection, it's also about even growth. In other words, that the embryo is floating so that the embryo doesn't experience the gravitational pull, so they grow evenly. It's also there as a shock absorber. Anything that is related to water or being suspended in water gives you protection because the water dissipates the shock through it. And there are actually many more that you can give. I'm going to show you the official memo as well as some of the alternative options you could have also given. Now, here is the official memo, and I want to bring your attention to question 2.2.2, the one that I think everyone might not get 3 out of 3. As you can see here is the option that I went for, and I said that they have the same, different chromosome sets, which is present in both of your options. But then you'll see the second half of the answer is slightly different. In the first option, you could have said A is not fertilized and B is fertilized. You'll see that it only gets you 1 mark to say that. Or you could have said that A contains the genetic information from the female, whereas B contains from both parents. So do you see you could have gone 2 alternative routes? Both of them award you marks for the chromosome number, but the third and final elusive mark is more about whether you were spatially aware in the picture and you were aware of what was happening in the rest of it. Then we go on to looking at the amnion, and for question 2.2.4, you can see all the other options like free movement against mechanical injury or shock absorbing, dehydration, and temperature. And you could have listed any 3, but remember, if you list more than 3, your marker will only mark the first three. They'll ignore the fourth one. So if the first three are wrong, but the fourth one is right, you still don't get that answer. They have to mark the first three. Now, that's it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and you found it useful in your preparation for exams. It's a quick little question you can do. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.